So good evening to those in Japan and good morning to those in Spain. And welcome to online seminar, Digital Banking, What to Next, organized by the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in Japan. And my name is Moikato and I'm Executive Director of the Spanish Chamber in Japan. And today we have invited three excellent speakers from Mormedi, Bizum, and Sony Bank, and moderator from our university. Each panelist will do 10 to 15 minute short presentations, and after that we will move to 15-20 minutes Q&A sessions. So if you have any questions, please send it via Q&A box appears at the bottom of your screen. And if the question is for a particular speaker, please don't forget to specify the name when sending the question. The event is expected to finish at 7:15 in Japanese time. So to officially begin the event, I'd like to invite the President of the Spanish Chamber in Japan, Guillermo Gutierrez, for the opening speech.
Thank you, Mo. Good evening, everybody. Good morning to those in Spain and in Europe. And welcome to the panelists today. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. Very happy to host the seminar today. I think the area of digitalization is a very hot topic worldwide these days, and even more in Japan. We're in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, and Japan has been caught wrong-footed with the big shift to massive digital communication. And there's a new government in Japan, as most of you know. We've heard important people in the government, most recently the Minister Kono. He's the Minister of State for Administrative Reform. He said he was declaring war on the fax machine and the personal seal. So we really wish them good luck with all that. There is maybe an ongoing feeling that Japan is slow to change, but it really can change fast sometimes. Just to give you a small anecdote, I go quite often to Kyoto, and if you know, Kyoto is a cash-only big city in Japan. Really, the last remaining, everything is cash. And up to recently, you could not pay a taxi with a phone, with a digital IC card. And in Tokyo, we were paying that for a long time. So I was in Kyoto last week, and there were many taxis had already a screen and accepted not just your phone or your digital IC card, but also Alipay, PayPay, all these QR code kind of payment systems. So they really move fast. And I asked, what's going on? What happened? He said, well, customers don't want to touch cash anymore. It's not clean. So and then everybody scrambled and they made a big change very quickly. So it can change, and I think we will see more and more that change will happen. So today's topic within the digital area is digital banking. I think this is very interesting for anybody who's tried to navigate the traditional Japanese banking system. So I think I'm personally very, very interested in the topic. And to moderate the seminar, we have the honor to have with us José Esteves. José is the Associate Dean of MBA and TECHMBA programs at IE University. He's a professor of information systems, and he's recently co-authored a book called Value in a Digital World. So I think he's the right person for the job today. Thank you, José, for being with us today, and the digital floor is yours. You're muted, José. Can you unmute yourself?
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Guillermo, for the introduction. Good evening to everyone. Good morning for people in Madrid. I would like to start thank you, the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in Japan and Mormedi for the invitation to be the moderator. And as Guillermo said, for me, this is a very familiar topic, something that I have passion. I've been working for 30 years in digital. And I would like to start introducing the panelists for today. Very briefly, I'm going to do a very brief introduction. Each one of them are going to do a short presentation, and then we'll have at the end time for Q&As. I would like to start with Dr. Noriko Erzonka. She's the Executive Director at Sony Bank and in charge of digital information strategy and content planning at Sony Bank. Noriko, the floor is yours. So please.
Hi, my name is Noriko Erzonka, and then I'm at the Sony Bank at this point, and then I'm really excited to be here to discuss with you a lot of digital banking and trends, and then our challenges. And then all the Japanese, they are very eager to getting into the digital world, but there's a lot of big concerns too. So I'm hoping that a lot of companies from other countries coming to Japan to help us for the digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have Jaime Moreno. He's the CEO and co-founder of Mormedi, which is a strategic design consulting firm and specializes in strategic design of innovative products and services. So good morning, Jaime.
Good morning. Thank you, Jose, for the introduction, and thank you, the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in Japan, for helping us to organize this event. And just a little bit about my background. My background is industrial design, but I always use design as a strategic tool. We have been working in banking for more than 20 years. Well, today we'll share in a few minutes our vision about digital banking.
Thank you, Jaime. And finally, we have Fernando Rodriguez. He's the Business Development Director at Bizum, which is a Spanish fintech that provides a payment service platform to allow users to conduct person-in-person payments through a smartphone. Good morning, Fernando.
Good morning. Thanks, Jose, for the presentation, and thanks to the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in Japan for the invitation. Yeah, as a business development in Bizum, I'm going to try to give you a tale regarding collaboration and innovation here in Spain. Bizum was a collaborative project among mostly all the banks here present in Spain, and I was going to tell you what happened in the last 4 years since Bizum was created.
Thank you so much. And now it's time for starting the short presentations. So I'd like to invite Jaime to start his presentation. Thank you, Jaime.
Thank you, Jose. Let me share my screen. So good afternoon, everybody, and good morning. Well, I founded Mormedi 22 years ago, and I want to share with you briefly a little bit about us. What we do is we help grow your business by uncovering what customer needs and designing it. We were really hard to understand people needs in order to create an experience that result in a positive impact. We have been around for 22 years. 70% of our income is coming from outside Spain, and we have been working in around 200 projects. And even though our headquarters is based in Madrid, we have a branch in Tokyo, led by Junko. I think she's connected today. Also, a branch in London, led by Jan, and a branch in Mexico, led by Gabriela. And we have experts around the world that help us representing the different cultures and nationalities. Here you have a little bit of a footprint of where we have been doing projects in the last years. So I would say step Africa and Russia. We have been working, from Australia to the US. One of our first clients in 2000, so 20 years ago, was BBB, before they merged with Argentaria. So we have been working for banking for more than 20 years. We have worked for most of the Spanish banks, from BBVA, Bankia, Openbank, that was the first digital bank in Spain, Sabadell, Santander, but also Banco Pichincha, who is the market leader in Ecuador, and also we did some work for Sancor in Australia. We started working in Japan in 2003 with Nissan, and since then we have been working on several projects in product innovation for mobility sector, working for companies like Hino, Toyota, but also Airbus, Hyperloop, and also consumer electronics and connected services, working quite a lot for companies like Mitsubishi Electric in Japan, Fujifilm, LG, Philips, and Panasonic. Today, I want to share with you our vision about digital banking, where to next. So if we look at, online banking, it has been a while since banks started dealing with the so-called digital disruption. They started back in 1994 when the Stanford FCU, located in the heart of Silicon Valley, became the first financial institution to offer online banking. So it's been 26 years. The pioneer in Spain was Openbank. It was a pure digital banking back in 1996, 2 years later. And 1 year later, in Japan's case, the first online banking services was launched by Sumitomo Bank in January 97. But banks worldwide are facing a turning point. Low interest rates, strong cultural changes that we're living nowadays, strong regulatory pressure, the need of sustainability and be sustainable, and the entry of fintechs and tech giants. New entrants are challenging banks, fintechs, and more importantly, tech giants such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon are changing industry dynamics. They have innovative tech solutions. They are trendsetters, and they can control the interface, making their scalability capacity enormous. Financial services are being disrupted by both data and technology. These are changing client expectations and the way business develop. There are two pillars, data and technology, are helping banks to have a better knowledge of their clients, to create predictive. Sorry? I can hear some echo. Can you hear me? Okay. To work in predictive models, those predictive models are helping them to offer personalized proposals, and at the end, reduce the churn rate, have higher revenues, and what is more important, increase the customer experience. Nevertheless, cash is still king in Japan. I mean, Guillermo was mentioning the big shift or change that has happened through COVID, no? But Japan and Spain, they still, as you can see in this graphic, still have a huge use of cash in all payments. Even though in the last 3 years, banks worldwide have invested over $3 trillion in digitalization, why is the use of cash still so common? What needs to change from a customer experience perspective to drive the greater use of digital payments? And I think this is the challenge that we're going to see in the next months or years, no? Also, when we talk about clients, we need to think about senior people. 40% of Japan's population is over 55 years old. In Japan, as in many areas in the world, penetration of digital banking among the elderly has been slow. But the increase of digital tools during COVID-19 has proved that seniors are able to use digital channels. According to a recent report from CaixaBank, more than 50% of their customers above 65 years old have used digital channels in the last 3 to 4 months. But in order to further increase the use of digital channels by seniors, banks must ensure that the tools are designed from a customer-centric perspective. When we talk about digitalization and customer centricity, we need to think about 4 basic steps. No? And the first step is, have the digital basics right. Have a good app and have a good web, which is very easy to use and seamless, and it goes beyond transaction. Second, deploy really an omni-channel experience. The customer should be able to use the channel that prefers at a certain moment, depending on the type of transaction or the moment of the life that he's living. Third level would be, once the omni-channel has been deployed, data-driven strategy. Manage data properly So then you can really run digital innovation. Digital transformation is not about technology. 70% of digital transformation initiatives do not reach their stated goal due to the lack of employee engagement, inadequate management support, poor cross-functional collaboration, and a lack of accountability. Digital transformation is about cultural transformation. It's about a change of behavior. And sustaining a transformation impact typically requires a major reset in mindsets and behaviors. A digital bank culture must be created and reinforced from a top-down and bottom-up. Digital transformation is a process, within organizations that involves collaborative work, is business-driven, and it places the customer at the center of all priorities. And it has to go beyond transactional operations. Here on the screen, we see Bankia is the fourth biggest bank in Spain, and now it's merging with CaixaBank. And we held them to 3 years ago with the strategy of all the digital channels. And one question, for example, is why, if the fees of using an ATM that some banks charge causes consumers to reduce the frequency of withdrawals and to increase the withdrawal amount, then there's going to be fewer interactions, more cash. And is it the type of relationships that banks want to create? How can digitalization help us to go beyond cash and transfer payments? Using data, as I said before, is in order to get to know your customers, know how they behave, what's their lifestyle, what do they like to do, and be a partner of their lives from the financial perspective, looking at the entire user experience or the entire user journey of a customer. But also I think it's very important that physical and digital, they have to work together. Offline and online, they are key for success. It's not about just digital banking. Human support and advice is great when it's convenient for the customer and is efficient for the bank and can be combined with a self-service capabilities. And just to finalize, I think if we look at the future of banking, banks have to empower phygital clients with branches. Digitalization has made most banks user phygital, needing both physical and digital touch points. Many customers, they don't have a high financial knowledge, and therefore this means they need advice. And the branches, they have to be spaces specialized in financial advisory. We will see in the future fewer branches. In Spain, we're talking about that probably 25–30% of the branches should close in the next few years, no? But they would be bigger. There could be a touch point to support the creation of a community to increase loyalty. They will be financial advisors. We will see also modular concepts that help evolve and test new services. And we will also see banks offering non-financial products and services. Here also you see a picture. This is coming from Pichincha. As I mentioned before, it's the biggest bank in Ecuador, where we helped them to develop the new distribution model. And we tried to create a branch that was much more human. And we created an area to push digital transformation by helping every single customer and train them to use online banking. And just to finalize, digitalization is the tool that has allowed banks worldwide to offer their services during lockdown. The pandemic has encouraged people to adopt digital channels, making it imperative for banks to create a seamless omni-channel experience. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, Jaime. And now is the time for Dr. Noriko to give her view about digital and digital transformation in Japan. Thank you so much, Noriko. So please.
Okay, everyone, can you hear me? And then I just put it up the material on the screen. I hope everyone can see it. Okay, let me start it from the beginning. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Noriko again. Today, I have two sections I want to share with you. The first half of them is current Japan's situation in a digital banking transformation as a whole. Let's say less than 1 year, what is going on in Japan? And then there's a lot of opportunities for the foreign-based companies to come to Tokyo, Japan, and they do the business for the, especially for this fintech area. We do really need the help, and then especially for the technology fintech areas. So let me start it up on the first of the half, and then rest of the half I want to introducing our services in English on banking service in Japan in Sony Bank. Okay, if not now, when? It's exactly the, my message today. We have a 5 point, actually I listed up as a what has changed in the last less than 1 year. Majority of them changed in 6 months. And some of them in here is last month or this month happened. First point is FSA in Japan. They put it up 2020 and new priorities. And if you type up and search for the word FSA Japan priority 2020, and you can get this material. It's a PDF 1-pager, and they are listing up all of the things they're gonna do, which is really favorable for all of us and getting all of us support from overseas, especially someone who are thinking about service in Japan. That's gonna be very helpful. For example, FSA, they're gonna start accepting official documentation in English. And up to now, all of the business needed to submit a paper in Japanese, but now it's going to be in English, and then that will be really big help, I'm pretty sure. And then, as also like I already mentioned, we have a new cabinet, a new prime minister, new actually our government started, Mr. Suga. He is mentioning about regional bank. More the strategic, optimization, and that will be, changing some of the roadmap for the regional banks too. And then we do have a lot of localized regional banks, and along with a major bank in Japan. So this is gonna be a really big change. It's upcoming. You can just see it. And then also that this new government, and you will see that the big changes are digital transformation ministry is going to set it up. We call the digital show. And then actually that portion is a new, and Hirai-san is leading it. And then he is really pushing through the digital transformation. And then this will be really helpful for the government, shifting into the more digital. And then actually, not really big news upcoming, but for that banking and actually financial services, its big change happened is Mr. Himino. He is a new FSA commissioner, and then he is leading FSA, and then he is doing a lot of more international, say global, viewpoint he has. So this will be the big support for us to shifting into digital transformation as a banking business too. And then the second portion I want to mention that is a market. As you can see it globally, market is a turmoil and move around a lot. Maybe we're gonna say fluctuation, but because of this much and fluctuations, and then the mutual fund sales increase a lot. And some of the digital side of the services, and they have a sales increase almost double. And then also that a lot of banking, major bank, who used to have all the services in the branches, customers tend to shifting into the more net banking services too. And then I need to really mention this one too. And the mutual fund, we used to have a lot of high and some of the transaction fees. A lot of companies start waiving it. So a lot of Japanese people start saying that, hey, this market changes, and then the transaction fee is waived, and then the price is, maybe let me start it as a new kind of more investment. And the mindset is changing. And then this is a very big change too. And then I also need to mention that unfortunately, interest spread, FX spread is changing it, and in the bank is really hurting at this point. But we need to change the profitability. Business model need to be shifted. And then third point I listed up is the legislation change. This is another big portion too. First page, I mentioned about government change, but this is also another thing. And I mentioned that the English administrative services starting up by FSA. And then this second portion came up, I think it's the last week. In September, newly announced that the My Number, so-called My Number in Japan, it's like a social security numbers for all of the Japanese nationals will be utilized for the banking account services. So not only for the tax purpose or government documentation, we can use this social security number, so-called My Number, will be utilized in the bank. It means data-wise, it's going to be easier for us to manage, and then but also security-wise, we need to kind of get through some of the changes too. And then also interesting thing is a new legislation changes happening. Two of them is a major portion. One is like a consolidated financial brokerage businesses will become available. And then this detail, you can just search online too. And then I'm pretty sure that a lot of financial services, from overseas, they may be interested in this payment service structure will be revised shortly. And then those two portions gonna be, I'm pretty sure that keeping us momentum moving forward for the digital banking, kind of into that the more for everyone. And then, of course, lifestyle get changed, right? And then in Japan, and not only in Japan, I'm pretty sure, a lot of people start spending more time at home, so they can spend more time with hobby, online search, or skill building, or learning about the financial services, financial product. And then maybe, before COVID-19, maybe people maybe kind of going to the service, in person, maybe learning, but now they have a more tolerance for the self-service. They were not trying to do it by themselves, find it out at home. So they have a more time to kind of going through in detail. And then this will help us for the net banking or, all of the service on the more fintech side. Because Japanese tend to go to the more face-to-face services, but now it's shifting into it, spending more time at home. And then, but on the other hand, the third point is word of mouth is getting more important. And then needless to say, cashless, right? And then this is a government support is happening from last year. And then, we did have some of this campaign by government side, and we have a cashback, and if we go to the cashless. So a lot of people trying to getting into the cashless, and that's a really good trend for net banking too. But of course, in the COVID-19, it's going to help us. Like, in the very beginning, we talk about it and game up, and then people doesn't want to touch cash. So they're trying to go to the cashless, and that's really good in the trend too. And then unfortunately, and then banking and the branch banking services is a kind of, more consolidation kind of stages. But also then, I like that the word of the Jaime mentioned the physical, it could be the physical, right? And then, but our bank itself, Sony Bank, we do have a branch, but some of the portion need to be supported by like a more face-to-face interpersonal services. But the net banking has a lot of solutions we are offering. And then last for the most very important portion is this one, security for the business, for the technology, financial services. Of course, in the financial transactions and security concerns in general, we used to have a lot, and then recently, the more people start using the net services, and we do have a lot of concerns kind of popping up. And then I don't go into the super detail, but the thing is that the e-payment services with a bank, with the financial services connected, and then the customer is, to the next stage. So like, how we're gonna keep the security tight and then more safe, secure. That's really the, all of the users' concern. Of course, personal information protection, we need to be careful for it, more than ever. And then anti-money laundering, this is something we just need to always kind of deal with. And then we are trying to getting into the better services as a net banking company in Japan too. So I listed up in our 5 portion. This is like what is happening in Japan at this point. Lifestyle changes, legislation changes, market conditions shifting in many ways, and the government changes, security concerns. With those factors in the background, happening, and how we're going to push the digital transformation and to make it more robust. This is a really key portion, safe and robust financial services. What we are looking for is more to be, I listed up another 5 financial service providers, what we want to get the service or support or alliance with. Is a technology, of course, and then API blockchain, any those ideas, and then putting into the business as a security purpose and one more convenience or safety. We do have a lot of way to use it, and then this is something we can just work as a bank with the financial service companies and the providers, and then as a Japanese, and we need a speed. We've been very some way around slow and a portion too, but we need to speed up for the services or like a shifting into the digital transformation. And then also security is and I mentioned that. And then each bank, we cannot do everything by ourselves. So I think it's a partnership or alliance. That's really one of the way to kind of get the speeding up. And then another thing is as a Japanese, myself too, some of the creativity is necessary to kind of getting into this robust financial structures, I believe. And then let me get through that some of the portion of our Sony Bank we are providing as an English online banking. This is a second portion of the presentation I wanted to explain. In Japan, before we starting up services, and we did a survey with our consultant, and we find that what is a weakness in Japanese banks. And then the top 4, this is really important. Okay. Japanese, we put a lot of too many informations for the, I think foreigners, not only foreigners, maybe for Japanese, and then there are too many things get required. That's how, all of the users feel. And then not enough language support, especially for the, to begin with English. And then also like a process takes sometimes too long, they feel, and then multiple visits or multiple back and forth interactions. And then banking and face-to-face is a limited business services too, and business hours too. And then what being expected is that these 3 portions are very important too. Online services, without, walking into the physical bank services and branches, or language support, and then a system. And sometimes, some of the, international residents in Japan, they do need some, overseas fund transfer. They want to do easier way to do it, of course. Then we started up this service launched in this March, end of the March this year. We made English-based account and opening apps. And then this will makes everyone easier to do application at home, and then they can you can do by yourself. And then all of what we are trying to aiming for is a service for the more customer based and experience easier. So like a CX is our target. How we're going to make it improving the services. They feel comfortable and they feel like easier. And they feel like, left out, they don't feel left alone. They are, a lot of ways in the language barriers, it makes them really feel uncomfortable. So we are trying to be on your side. That's what we are aiming for. And the English online banking service, we still need to do a lot improvement. But at least we have a website and then explaining about services, and then some of the portions of culture. And then we do have a English online banking service on you can use in English too. And then we have a chat services and email services too. And then one of the things I'm pretty sure you feel comfortable and you will enjoy is a Sony Bank wallet. And then the Sony Bank wallet with one card, you can just carrying around your country, and then you can use in Japan one card, and you can have multiple currencies. You may want to take a look into our website. Up to like 11 currencies, you can have a balance and within one card. And then you can just go to the cashless, of course, and then you can get the services, and then you will enjoy it. I really want to use it. This is really easy, make your life easier. And then at this point, we do have a lot of Japanese services, but in the Japanese language. But in English online banking services, as a phase one, we aim for easier life in Japan, daily life in Japan. And then we didn't get into the much of the wealth management yet, but you can just do the deposit in Japanese yen, and you can use the ATM in Japan. Still, you need the cash here and there, and the fund transfer, foreign currencies. And then when you step into Japan, as long as you have a Sony Bank, you feel more comfortable, and then you can just have a daily life comfortable. That's what we are aiming for. But we just need to improve more services. So please kind of wait for us, and then we're gonna make it improvement as soon as we can do it. But take a look into our website, and you can just keyword putting the Sony Bank English, and then you can just get into our website. Thank you very much. And then I'm looking forward to talk with you, and then more questions gonna be welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very insightful presentation. And now to conclude this series of short presentations, Fernando is going to provide us an review of the digital finance services and the situation in general about the implementation and adoption of financial services. Fernando.
Hi, hello. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
we
have
can.
to make it
Great.
full screen.
Okay, thank you so much. So thanks for inviting us and having some time to explain. I think it's really insightful that all the explanations that Noriko just gave, because I see a lot of similarities between Spain and Japan. We are thousands of kilometers apart, but I think I've experienced some things that you already have explained, and regarding those 5 blocks that you said that they were key for next steps on digitalization. So in order to start with my presentation, I would like to point out what happened here in Europe a few years ago. So most of things happened here in Europe due to legislation. So a few years ago, the European Central Bank decided to start making a more cohesive the financial sector, building the same scheme, the same rules for all the countries. This was translated. This produced SEPA, a standard to make payments account to account around Europe, and in Bizum, that's what we've leveraged. This standard was it was delayed 2 or 3 days, depending on if it was a laboral day or not, in order to make a payment. But 5 years ago, this standard was updated, was upgraded, and now these payments are instant. So that's our built-in stone for us. Okay, so these SEPA instant payments, it was we leveraged in order to build this solution. So once we had this in mind, here in Spain, there was a collaborative initiative. So many players on the financial sector decided to, okay, what can we do with this? So the Spanish regulator, among other banking associations that represent all the Spanish banking sector, decided to go for a common goal. And this goal meant that we could leverage instant payments, making them easier to the customer, just building a link with the phone number to the IBAN account, to the bank account. So this meant that in 2016, a new company was found. It's Bizum. The bank decided to use one brand, that it would be the same service for every bank to increase recognition. And as I said, we linked the phone number to the IBAN to make easier for the users to make the payments, and the transfers are, as I said, are instant and performed within the banking apps. So you don't need anything else. You just find the service within your banking app. So this happened 4 years ago, and today what we have is that the service is offered by 26 different banks that represent virtually 100% of the market share here in Spain. In Spain, we have one of the most banked countries in Europe. Everybody have bank account. And today we have a popular phrase in Spain that make me a Bizum when you are requesting money to somebody due to some present or because you had lunch with or dinner with, or you have to share the pizza cost with your friends. Okay, so we started 4 years ago, and right now the picture is that. Okay, we have the customers asking for more use cases. I will depict now which are the current use cases, but we have a very well appreciated product by the customers, and we are evolving that product from 4 years ago to now. So which were the success elements, or which was the ground base? As I said, I found some similarities with the Japanese market. We also have very extensive use of cash for all the physical payments, and close to 90% of the payments are made with cash. That means that still other digital payments are not very frequent in terms of physical payments. And that's something that also there are some regulation to tackle this. Some years ago, payments over 1,000 euros, you may see what's equivalence in yen, can be only made digitally. Okay, so you cannot make it in cash. Also in Spain, we have one of the highest ratio of smartphone penetration. Mostly everybody in Spain has a smartphone, so this is also a good starting point in order to build a digital customer base for the banks. Also, we're facing is that the banks are here in Europe. We have a very low tax rate of the low lending money, so that's something that means that the margin of the banks is smaller and smaller. So this what happened is that they are trying to leverage the digital channels, taking these kind of channels to the customers, and that this means that, for example, the office branches, the physical branches are being reduced dramatically. We have one of the highest ratio of branches versus population before the mortgage crisis in 2008, so 12 years ago, and we have reduced a lot the number of offices here in Spain. This means that the customers need to perform more and more transactions with their banking apps or with the online banking. And also what happened is that Bizum was kind of a defensive mechanism by banks, because, as you know, GAFA and online banks and fintechs are joining the financial service arena. They are trying to, GAFA, of course, they already have millions customers worldwide, and they can provide a standard user experience for all their customers. So that's something that they were also trying to defend, that space. And on top of that, last week, the European Commission deliver the digital finance strategy that they are going to pursue for the next years, where the account is going to be the key element for repayments. They're trying to build a pan-European scheme. So this is also, as I mentioned earlier, this kind of goal that the European institutions are trying to pursue, that to build a more cohesive, more homogeneous payment scheme and digital financial arena in Europe. So what has happened during this since we launched Bizum? It's also some kind of a lifestyle, as Enrico was saying. We had experienced a change of habits. This is something that it can only be a success if the people appreciate it and they recommend it to their friends. The word of mouth is key in this, and that's what we have experienced in Bizum. As you can see, the trend of the new users per day on the left side of the presentation has been increased a lot. You can see that during the lockdown we have some negative trend, either on operations and users, but as you can see, after the post-COVID lockdown, we have experienced an enormous growth. So another thing that is very relevant is that the first million users in Bizum, we spent 15 months in order to get those million users, and just the last million users in Bizum, it only took us 6 weeks. So we already have 12 million users, and we expect to end this year, 2020, with close to 14 million users. And also what we have seen is that the population that is starting to use Bizum has evolved. As you see in that age profile evolution, these are data that the banks provide us in order to build this profile. The first year of Bizum, the people above 35 were the heavy users. They were the early adopters because they already have the banking app. They already were accustomed to use to perform regular payments. So those the one that they saw Bizum in the banking app and decided to start using it. That triggered that all the group, all the most close people to them also started to use Bizum, and year by year you see that the youngsters, that the millennials are increasing. So as you see that it's not something that it's only for young people. Bizum is used by, as you see, people above 55 and people above 18 years old. So this is something. This is also that it's changing the lifestyle here in Spain. Now, we will see later the average amount, but now just gather with some friends and make some. Okay, I pay everything, and then I collect the payments with Bizum. It's very popular now here in Spain. So the use cases that we have launched to the market, we have used the P2P use case of the cornerstone for everything. I mean that we build the critical mass of the service thanks to the payments peer-to-peer. This means that we introduce this change of habits to the customer. They are more prone to use their digital banking apps, so that's easier to transformation for a digital customer. As I said, we already have 12 million users and 200 million operations in these 4 years. With this customer base on the top of mind, it's much easier when you go to NGOs to tell them that there is an easy way to collect payments, to collect donations. We just give these NGOs a 5-digit code in order to collect payments. We will see later that this also increased a lot during the lockdown. Also, what we launched past year, the online payments with Bizum for e-commerce. So you identify yourself with the phone number as well, and you authenticate the operation with your banking app. we already are close to 5,000 merchants, online merchants, and 500,000 new operations. Okay, so that's something that we are leveraging thanks to the customer base that we got with the peer-to-peer. We also are launching. We are in a pilot phase right now. Enable payments based on QR, thanks to an institution that decided to try this solution on their 11,000 point of sales. So this is a pilot phase where an institution is enabling their customers to pay and also receive money with Bizum. Okay, so for example, if you have a Spanish lottery and you have a prize that you need to collect, you go to this institution and you show your QR on your banking app, and you can also receive the prize or make payments if you want to buy more of this. Okay, and also what we are leveraging, what we are developing is enterprise to peer solutions. So, for example, that companies need to collect. Need to make some cashback or need perform some compensations to their customers, just using the phone number, they can directly make a payment account to account to the customers. Okay. Now some lessons that we've learned during the COVID-19 crisis. As you can see on the graph above. Underneath the presentation, you can see that during the lockdown, we have a peak on the average amount of the Bizum transactions. Okay, as you can see, it went even higher than 60 euros per transaction. That means that the users during lockdown, since you couldn't go to the street, you couldn't go to the ATMs to withdraw some money. What we saw is that people were making payments to their neighbors in order. Okay, so you go to the grocery store for me and you buy me something and you let me the groceries on the door, and I make you the payment through Bizum, for example. Also, for example, online classes. We saw that many people were also giving online classes through, for example, Zoom, and they collect a payment thanks to Bizum. So we saw that during the lockdown, the people started to find new use cases with Bizum. Also, more on informal economy, some people in the markets were collecting payments to the customers with Bizum. That's something that it was only thought for the peer-to-peer, but in order to avoid gas, as Guillermo was referring, like it's happened in Kyoto, also happened here during the lockdown. We also have seen that after the lockdown, the number of users have increased a lot. 20% of growth of new users on a monthly basis, and the operations even higher, 40% of growth month by month. Also, the e-commerce also businesses that maybe they were not willing to go online, they didn't need that in order to continue their business. They had the necessity to continue the business selling online. We have a lot of applications in order to integrate Bizum as a payment method into their website. So we also increased a lot on that arena. And as I said earlier, the donations. This is something that we decided to launch because we understood that there was an opportunity, but the NGOs have a lot of ways in order to collect donations, but they've seen that Bizum is a very good solution to them. For example, it was very curious, small charges that they were not receiving people during lockdown. They decided to also have this small code in order to collect donations, and 1,000 churches decided to join Bizum and to publish their 5-digit code in their churches, so that also the people that go there, instead of having cash in hand, they could make these small payments to the churches with Bizum. And also, this is not directly related to Bizum, but as a market trend here, we've seen that, for example, one of the biggest supermarket here in Spain just told us the other day that the number of people that pay with card has increased from 40% to 60%. So that's huge in their supermarket. So that's a lot of payments that are going towards other type of payments rather than cash. And just to finish my presentation, just what's next regarding Bizum. Okay, so after this crisis, we've seen that there are some opportunities, and also regarding the regulation that we know is being passed in European institutions, we are going to focus on some European project going towards European interoperability. There are different solutions in Europe that offer a similar service like Bizum here in Spain. So there's an opportunity to build a common solution in Europe that if you go to France or you go to Portugal or you go into Italy, you may use the account to make instant payments rather than cards. Also, we've seen that the third-party integration is key. For example, there are solutions that are offering, for example, putting in contact people that want to sell something and others that want to buy something that I don't need anything anymore. So, for example, these kind of solutions could integrate Bizum as a common way to perform these transactions from peer to peer. And another approach that we are thinking of is just building a standalone app. As I said, Bizum right now is integrated within the banking apps, but we also think that it's a good opportunity in offer to have more social services that maybe you can't find on a banking app, like creating a group with your friends and you just input some cost that some amounts that, for example, you spend on dinner or buying groceries, then you can share later with your friends, and then you calculate which are the payments, and later you can send or request money to those members of the group. So this is it regarding Bizum and our journey up to date. Thanks a lot.